What's up, everyone? This is Coach JT, and this is part 1 of the How to Box series. First, we're going to find our center line. It can be a piece of tape on the floor or a jump rope, pretty much whatever you have. We're going to bring our back foot behind us and place it at a 90-degree angle on the right side of the line if you're right-handed, as close as you can get it. And then we're going to bring our front foot up with the toes facing the opponent on the left side of the line, as close to the line as we can get it. Then you're going to want 60% of your weight on the back foot for many reasons, chief of which is to keep your head farther away from your opponent, increasing your reaction time and ability to react to their movements. You must maintain the center line no matter what. When you learn to step, turn, shift, switch, it's your point of balance and where all of your defensive moves as well as offensive moves flow from. A lot of people talk about bending your knees, but it's less of a bend in the knees and more of sticking your butt out so your head can be off the center line, giving you a counterbalance. And if you've ever heard the term sit down on your shots, this is where it comes from, to give you the appearance of kind of sitting down into your stance. You want to get very comfortable in this stance as you're learning, and once you move to new stations, learning new things, you have to be able to remember this and take this piece of information with you. Once you start learning punches and whatnot, this stance cannot crumble in on itself. It has to be firm and strong before you can move on and learn something else. So with the majority of your weight on the back foot, you want to keep your head over your knee, your back knee. It can help you by looking down at your foot in order to accomplish this. The most practical way we can apply this is thinking about a quarterback when he goes to throw a football. You can see how he keeps his weight on the back foot so he can drive off the floor to gain power. There ain't no zombie quarterbacks out there dragging their back foot with all their weight on their front foot, and if there are, I'm sure they're not in the NFL. So yes, keep your weight on the back foot. It's going to keep your head further away from your opponent, as well as baseball. For baseball players, when you go to swing that bat, you have your weight on the back foot so you can generate power. Now let's discuss shoulder plane, a topic very rarely discussed in boxing gyms, but one that all the old all-time greats had. Shoulder plane is where your left shoulder is higher than your right shoulder if you're orthodox, meaning right-handed. You see that plane where my left shoulder is higher than my right one? That serves many purposes. Number one, if I'm fighting another right-handed fighter, my lead shoulder as well as my left hand is protecting me from their right hand, their power hand. Now we'll work on stepping. In boxing, whatever direction you want to go, whatever foot is closest to that direction, that's the foot that steps first. As you can see, I'm moving backward now, so I'm moving my back foot first, constantly maintaining that center line between my legs. So now I step to the left, I step with my lead foot first, making sure that I don't take too big of a step, squaring my stance off, or crossing my feet by taking too big of a step with my back foot. I have to maintain the center line and my balance. Once you can step without your stance crumbling, we graduate from the center line to the agility ladder. The ladder is comprised of many lines, all of which can be your center line depending on your positioning. This exercise, our back foot will be at the 90-degree angle in the center of the first square, making the left long line our center line. We will then step, moving our lead foot first on the outside of the ladder while maintaining an accurate foot position with our back foot in each square. Once we get up the ladder, we'll move going backwards, trying to be as accurate as possible with our steps, stepping an equal distance with each foot so we don't come off balance. Meanwhile, the whole time you got to have your head over your back knee and 60% of your weight on the back foot, not crossing your feet. Now we'll work to the left, keeping that back foot at a 90-degree angle. This is going to get you comfortable moving in every direction and getting your back foot strong, or your back leg, I should say, stronger and stronger so you can rely on it in a combat situation. Now we're moving out to the right. At this angle, you can't see my shoulders, but you best believe I'm maintaining my shoulder plane. Hope you guys are enjoying your first day of boxing class. So now that we've learned how to step, we've learned how to keep our hands up, what our shoulder plane is, and how to stand with balance, we're going to move on to some more intricate things, some more defense-related things, and then hopefully get to the jab. Before you learn how to punch, you should learn how to be on balance. You should know how to distribute your weight between legs. You should know how to get into a situation and get out of a situation. That's my opinion. So we're going to work on the pivot and the slip and rolling as well. So first we'll work on the slip because it will help us learn the pivot later. This drill is just about touching your knee with your opposite hand. As you can see, I'm touching my back knee with my front hand and now my front knee with my back hand. Look how my shoulder changes. So now my right shoulder's leading, my left shoulder's leading. My right shoulder's leading, my left shoulder's leading. And as you switch weight, you have to turn your back foot. That's going to allow you to spin your hips. This is so important for once you learn how to punch and defend yourself. Here's a different angle. The most important thing, or one of the most important things, is when you go to touch your front knee with your back hand and you turn your back foot, not to let your head go over your front knee, because that'll throw you off balance. Now we'll work on rolling under shots. So you pretty much have to do just like we did with the slip, but as you're down low, turning your back foot and spinning your hips in order to come underneath of the shot and returning back to base. Back to our back foot position, how we learned. You are not done rolling until you're back to that position. You are not ready to punch at full capacity until you're back at that position. So you must complete your roll. You can think of it like slipping the one and then rolling under, slipping the two and rolling back under, just like when we were touching the knee. It's pretty much the same thing. Touch the knee, roll underneath. Touch the knee, roll underneath. Both directions. This is going to really work your back leg. Remember not to bring your head over your front knee so you can stay on balance. Once you learn to punch, you can punch in between all of these movements. Balance and form. Weight distribution. Now, the pivot is just adjusting to your opponent's position. If the opponent goes to my left side, I pivot to adjust to him so I can face him. Now if he comes the other way, I pivot so I can face the opponent again, because I can't let him get to a side where I can't defend myself. I'm just constantly adjusting. All you have to do is push off your back foot and move yourself 90 degrees. That's what the pivot is. You can do it after the step. All you're doing is pushing off your back foot. You can pivot off both feet. But the majority of the time, I like keeping my front foot where it is and pivoting the back foot like so. Pivot, slip, and pivot. Now back on the agility ladder to apply what we've learned to a drill. So now we're stepping and going to touch the knee like we worked on, pushing off and pivoting 90 degrees. Then we're going to touch the other knee and use the momentum of coming back to base to pivot back around. You step, you slip, you pivot or slip the other way and pivot back. Step, slip, pivot back. Step, slip, pivot back. I'm using the momentum of coming back to normal after the slip to push off the ground and get to that 90-degree angle. Slip the 2, pivot 90 degrees, slip the 1, pivot 90 degrees back. Now, what good is training boxing if you're not going to learn how to punch? So this is the jab, the most important punch in all of fighting, regardless of sport. The jab is just the lead hand straight punch. You want to have your butt out and your head off the line. You don't want to be straight on the line like this. You see how my head is off the line, making it easy to slip and easy to allow the jab to move my head off the line so I don't eat a jab in return. And you just want to come from a straight arm and push the punch out and turn it on the end of the punch. You want loose hands before you make contact. So once you make contact with whatever your target is, you close your hand. And you just work on bringing your shoulder back and opening your back as you throw it, using the muscles and making that punch as long as possible. Just because you're turning your shoulder doesn't mean you have to pull your hand away from your face. Keep your hand in good defensive position. Good offense has defense built into it, and you just rep and drill your jab until your arm hurts pretty much. Once you get comfortable and it looks like your jab's got some steam on it and it's quick, then we apply it to another drill, this time with our left foot in the square, which would make the right line our center line. And now we go doing the same step drill pretty much, but this time incorporating the jab at the same time. Now I could get really in depth with this because I can think of 3 different ways to move forward and backward on the ladder like this, stepping with the jab. But this is the most basic and easy one, and all you need to know on your first day. You gotta be able to throw that jab going every direction. So we just drill that until you get comfortable with it. As you can see, that shoulder plane protects that whole side of my face. Then once we get on the heavy bags, we'll put something under your arm to keep your right hand where it's supposed to be. And we just rep that jab. And once you get comfortable throwing that jab, you start stepping around the bag as you do it. There's even many ways to do this, but we'll save that for another video. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed part 1. I had a box at JTO Boxing. We went over a lot of stuff today. I hope you enjoyed it. I didn't realize how long the video would take, but what do you expect when you try to condense hour and a half to 2 hour long workout into a 10 to 15 minute video? So the nice thing about doing it this way is that you can pause it, stop it, rewind it, and try as many times until you get it right. Keep in mind that someone who goes to a boxing gym and trains under a coach is always going to have the advantage to somebody who's training themselves on YouTube. Most of my job as a coach is reiterating things I've already taught you and making sure that you maintain them. Hands up, chin down, make sure you move around the bag, hands in front of your face, all that kind of stuff. So at least when you do it this way, if you take what I teach you and you go to a boxing gym, the coach isn't going to have to take a month to 3 months helping you unlearn everything that you learned. So most of what I teach is an old school fundamental style that when you learn new things, that'll mesh well with that. It's not like something crazy off the wall that you're going to have to forget in order to learn a style. You know what I mean? Everything we do is for a reason. Stick with it. Please watch part 2, where we're going to learn more ways to define and to improve your jab as well as your footwork, and finally learn how to throw the right hand. Once you learn how to throw the right hand, all the other punches come easy. So, stick around, stay tuned. God bless you. Jesus loves you, and so do I.